Hey guys, welcome to the Nick Bahe YouTube page. You know what you need to do. You need to subscribe, you need to ring the bell, you need to like the page, you need to leave a comment. I appreciate you.
Fine. Okay,
all right, I don't want any pre-show talk from you.
Okay, you don't want to hear what I gotta say? You don't want to hear what I gotta say?
Oh my God, let's do this one last time for the season.
I am glad we took an extra day.
Me too.
I was no place to talk yesterday. I've had some more time to reflect. I think more people you can bounce things off of, it helps.
And just like anything else, just the more time you have from when the game ends to when you record, you just calm down. Like if we would have recorded right after the game,
oh man,
it'd have been like, remember when Happy Gilmore was like cussing all around the green? I mean, that's pretty much what it would have been.
Was that because the ball didn't go in the
The
hole?
ball didn't go in the hole.
Why don't you go in your home? Why don't you want to go?
That's what this would have been, you know? I mean, so no, I'm with you. So we're recording this, what is it? It's about almost 1:30 on Sunday. So we've had 2 days to kind of like calm down a little bit. And I jokingly tweeted after the game that game was like a casserole of the entire season. It was the entire season baked into one game. Was it not?
It was. I mean, it was everything you've seen and dreamed that couldn't happen again that happened. It was that worse than Michigan State.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I go, was that actually the worst? How the hell did they lose that game, collapse of the season?
I think it's a worse collapse. I think Michigan State was there was less time with Michigan State. I mean, we're down to like a few minutes to go.
And it was earlier in the season.
Yes. And this was like we had played, I don't know, we played pretty good against Michigan State, but I mean, man, it was like the way we had to do that it could be worse than Michigan State.
I think it's a worse collapse. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, because there was more mistakes in this collapse than the Michigan State was one play. But I think the Michigan State game still feels like it's the ultimate shank to the rib because of just it was early in the season. Who knows what happens? We've played that game like Cerny punts it the right direction. They win that game. You never know. Yeah, we had a lot ahead of us with Michigan State. With Iowa, it was like putting the biggest, nastiest exclamation point on the worst season in arguably Nebraska.
It is
history.
It is. This season was historic. It's the worst season since 1957. It's the first time since 1936 I believe this is all of college football for a team to lose 9 games by single digits. And even just a couple other things, like Jed, who's a great 1620 of the zone loyal listener, known Jed for forever. He tweets at all the shows. He's a great guy. He did some great research, and he went and looked at Nebraska's average scoring per quarter versus its opponent for the entire year. Nebraska outscored their opponent by average in every quarter this year, yet went 3-9. Like this season broke everybody's brain.
And I'm glad that the season's over because we can't take any more of this.
No.
But it's also it's so different than any losing season I've ever seen. I mean, we've lost at Nebraska. Even this Frost staff has lost before. The Riley staff, the Callahan staff, like they've lost badly a few years. But they're all the same in the sense of like, you just get your butts kicked. You're not playing defense. This year, we've kind of dominated. Maybe that's a strong word, but we've beat through most of these games, top 10 teams.
Yes.
And we find ways to lose, but then we couldn't win any games, but we almost beat 5 top 10 teams. That's the part I go, I've never seen that in the history of maybe sports.
Right.
In my life in sports, I've never seen what we have done this year. It's bizarre.
Yeah, they go 3-9, and they could have won every game.
Yeah, I mean, even Ohio State, I go, could have won that one.
Yeah.
Ohio State could have won. Michigan, we thought we won.
Right.
Michigan State, obviously. Iowa, Wisconsin. I mean,
no, you go right down through. I mean, even Big Cat, Part of my take had a great tweet after the game. He said, if people are worried about blowouts in the college football playoff, just put Nebraska in. They'd lose to Georgia by 2, which is like the most perfect. Like, honestly, like, I know, like, they wouldn't, but like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Nick, I don't know.
Healthy Martinez.
We have a blueprint.
JoJo's in there. Daniels is in there. Like, I'm not so sure as my baby is screaming from the top of the stairs.
It's like, they would lose by 2. They would lose.
Mac, huge Georgia fan, disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Why wouldn't they go lose by like 3?
We have a blueprint. That's the thing that it took almost as much as people might be like, didn't you notice this earlier? For me, it took this last game to go, no, it's what we have a blueprint. Something is going on where this is what we do.
Right.
And you can't do it. You can do it 2 or 3 times. It can be a fluke. You can't do an entire season of the exact same thing.
Totally agree.
Without becoming like, that's what we're doing right now.
Because I think whenever you and I did these recaps, we always kind of, I think both of us, I don't want to speak for you, but I think both of us kind of thought like, okay, a game was, you don't want to call it fluke, but like it was like, okay, they're eventually this run of historic collapses and bad luck and finding a way to lose. Like at some point they're gonna like fumble, like fall into a win. No, like I think they could continue if they played next week. If they played 12, like if they said, guess what, we're running it back 12 more games, I think it would like all play out the exact same.
Because there's something. And it's not just one thing. It's everything that's going on. Like it is personnel, which I think, still is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe I put too much on it, where now I also think it's like, we have to admit that, like, obviously we have some coaches that are gone. They left and we arguably played better on offense for the last 2 games.
Right.
2-3 games.
I mean, and did it 2 different ways too. Like Wisconsin, it was like air it out. This Iowa game, it was run for most of the game.
Yeah, and then but our special teams, that's the part that has been that's the part that you cannot tell me that is not like there is an issue with with the details, and the personnel and the execution. All 3 things we have a special teams issue built into our program right now that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, and. So as I was sitting down to kind of put these things together, I decided to tweet out, because sometimes you just got to consult the loyal listeners, right? And I simply tweeted out, pod listeners, do you prefer Bo, Ruud, and I to go drive by drive in the Husker game recaps, or talk big moments, big plays, and discuss 3 phases, etc.? So the 3 options I gave in a poll question were drive by drive, big play, 3 phases, etc., or just get punched in the face. Get punched in the face, 1. Get punched in the face, 1. The poll. But in second place was big plays, 3 phases, etc. So we're not going to go drive by drive, even though when I watch the games, I do write down kind of just each drive, kind of what happened. But so let's just get into the 3 phases. And it was, I mean, Nebraska's up 21-6 with 5:54 left in the third quarter, and Iowa proceeds to score 22 unanswered points, and they did it only scoring 1 offensive touchdown. So here we go. I wrote down in my order, I wrote down the offense first. You just want to talk about the offense first?
This is the part that, like, if we're going to look for positives, like, that was as clean of 3 quarters of football as I've seen. I mean, we were clean.
Right.
That's sort of like what
on schedule.
On schedule, I thought Smothers did a really nice job of always just taking sort of what the defense gives you. And this offense stresses the defense, and there's always something usually should be available.
Right.
And I think he did a great job of like, pull it when you're supposed to pull it, make the pitch when you're supposed to pitch. The angles were, so when he ran the option, I just thought he did a really nice job of just executing the way it was supposed to be executed. And he even threw the ball okay. I mean, I don't know how great of an arm and, of a passer he is, but he made some of the throws he needed to make. And so I was actually really impressed with, a season that's pretty much in the tank, coaches fired, and those guys came out and they executed really, really well, not just against Wisconsin, but also against Iowa.
Yeah. Right. I mean, for me, I don't want to say I set the bar low, like, they're going to trot out the worst quarterback of all time, but I was nervous for Smothers.
I'd seen nothing from Smothers.
I didn't know what to expect, but I just thought, man, your first start, last game of the year, Iowa, very, they're a good job at creating turnovers. I just thought, man, it wouldn't surprise me that this is like a 4-interception game. They don't get much going. And that wasn't the case at all. Smothers looked poised. I love the plan. Lots of option. He does look fast, And
to me, like, this is not a total knock on Adrian, but sometimes when he just turns up and gets 4 yards, instead of sort of maybe stringing it out himself and, getting a yard or a lot, like, just that mindset gets this offense in a better place. And so I think everybody watching went like, it does look a little different when Martinez is not in there. I think Martinez brings some pluses that Smothers doesn't have, but I always felt like there was a part of Adrian that didn't always know the angles and like how to just sometimes when to take it up and eat it.
Totally agree. Because I in a weird way, Adrian's a good runner that doesn't understand how to get the simple runs, the simple yards. And there were numerous options because I wrote that down. There were numerous options where if Adrian would have been running it, he just would have allowed it to get strung out and he would have like pitched it right at the last second for no gain.
Yeah.
Where Smothers did have a good knack for, at times he would just like immediately kind of plant his foot and just get up the field and get 4 yards. And that allowed them to stay in 3rd and manageables and 3rd and shorts and 2nd and on schedules. And that stuff makes a difference. So I was impressed with that.
This offense, I think anytime they get 4 yards or more in first down, I feel like we almost score on those drives.
Right.
Like if you just watch every first down, for us, like it's our first down. Like when we start out going -2, a yard, I just like this offense kind of becomes anemic. It really gets weak. But like when they get a first down, man, I feel like it almost looks easy then.
Well, yeah, because they've been a really good. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they lead the Big Ten in explosive plays. They've been an explosive chunk play offense, but some of that's kind of how Martinez quarterbacks. He's a firecracker sort of quarterback. Where all of a sudden you brought in Smothers, and Smothers was just hitting singles and doubles, and it worked. I mean, you had a really nice long drive to start the game, which, by the way, started with a delay of game. I just want to throw that out there. First, just
I was coming in the stadium. I missed that.
This is delay of game, start the game.
Good job.
This is delay of game, start the game. Like I wasn't even mad. I was just laughing at it. But they have a nice long drive to start the game. He picks up some 3rd downs. Has a good throw to Toure where he's kind of steps up in the pocket, puts it on. Very good step up. Had another good long drive to start the second half after the fumble. It was a 94-yard drive where it was just it felt like a different looking offense because you kind of had a quarterback in there that was, not to say Smothers was sitting there, never had any. I mean, he had a couple of good runs and he had a long pass to Austin Allen, to Omar Manning, but it was more of a methodical type of approach than it was necessarily anything else. And then, I mean, how about first half play selection? 27 runs, 5 passes. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you contrast it with last week, they came out and it was like
airing that
motherfucker out. So that was the positive. But then, like I said, they have the nice drive to start the second half. And then after that, the offense went into the tank.
So I actually, for me, I was in the stadium and we get to the end of the 3rd quarter. There's time for one more play. It's 1st and 10. And Smothers fumbles the ball.
Right.
He jumps on and recovers, right? But there was something about that play that I took a mental note. I go, I don't like that. I really didn't like that, right? And I went back and rewatched the end of the 3rd and 4th. He gets a first down if he just doesn't fumble that one.
It was
there. So I mean, he gets his first down. So what happens 3 plays later after that fumble?
It was the block.
We have to punt.
Right.
and we get our punt block. Right. So there's a cause and effect to these mistakes that I think it always starts somewhere. And unfortunately, like Smothers didn't give up the block punt. But in a way, like those sort of like unforced errors have a way of, it's a buildup effect.
Especially for this team. You're right.
I felt it. I felt it in the stadium. I felt that like he put that ball on the ground and I go, that's just like, it just something about that stuck with me. And then I went back and watched and I saw that he gets 8 to 10 easy that first play. And I go, that's a drive where if all of a sudden we make that into a drive and we don't have the game's probably like,
because it was 21-9.
Maybe we find a way to lose from there.
Probably you assume they would have.
I'm not going to say, well, we would win.
Right.
I'm not going to say that, but that's just it's a moment where the offense didn't help us where they could have like erased the chance of error.
Right. It is interesting how much all it takes is one negative play in a big spot, or even just a negative play period, can start the negative snowball for this group really bad. I mean, because that's well, first of all, real quick, did it seem like Iowa adjusted to the option? It seemed like in the second half there was
probably
a little less.
I mean, they're a good team.
Right.
They probably were.
They were probably going. They probably didn't know what to expect with Smothers.
Yeah, and so they adjusted. I'm guessing we probably adjusted, but I don't know what was the numbers on the number of passes in the second half versus the first, because you had because
it was 27-5 run pass.
My dad thought that they had
they threw the ball more. Now it's skewed a little bit because of that last drive.
Yeah,
the last drive was a 12-play drive where you're in a 2-minute offense situation. Sure. You're throwing it a lot. So Smothers ended up throwing the ball 16 times or 22 times. Excuse me. So they threw the ball 17 times in the second half.
And so the last drive was, call it 10 throws ish.
So they didn't throw the ball. I mean,
not a ton. Yeah, I don't know. I think to me, it goes back to the Smothers. He put the ball on the turf 3 times, handling the ball,
right?
Unforced errors. We lost one, which was huge, just because every minute you run off the clock, that you're holding on the ball is a defense.
Win.
Your defense doesn't have to be out there. Your special teams doesn't have to be out there. So to me, the mistake is not, hey, we should have scored more. It's, hey, you just need to hold on to the ball.
Right.
Well, not make our special teams win the game and not make our defense be out there too long.
Because Iowa kicks the field goal to make it 21-9. Here in Nebraska's drives, I want to go drive by drive of you pointed it out, but so they have 3 plays, 2 yards. This is the sequence where Smothers puts it on the ground, block, punt, touchdown.
Yeah.
Then they go 4 plays, fumble, 1 play, safety, 3 plays, punt, 12 plays, interception.
God, it's terrible.
Think about what I just told you.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes all you got to do is just hold on to the ball and not even score. Just get yards and hold on to the ball.
This is where not having a reliable, good offensive line that you can just run because there's been a lot of games where if Nebraska could kind of just run the ball and chew clock, not even necessarily saying they got to end with points, but these are quick possessions that you give the ball right back to the offense to the opposing offense.
And I do I think when you watched, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin and Iowa. Those are 3 great examples of teams that they have big offensive lines. They run power and stretch plays all game at you. And they really work best when you get tired.
Right.
And that's what we don't do well enough is just you give it to the running back at the end of the game and you take error out of it. You take the chance of ball handling errors and pitch errors and throwing errors out of it. And you just run, grind. You run clock. You protect the ball when you do that too.
Right.
And I think that's where we've been missing that all year. And we don't do that at the end of games where we just after we've done that for a whole half, we should wear somebody down and win.
Right.
We just don't do that. And they beat us in the 4th quarter.
Right. I mean, so you have the 3 plays, 2 yards, block, punt, touchdown. The next play or the next drive, 4 plays, fumble. You actually had a good drive going. That was the first down. You had the pass to Austin Allen that gets the ball to midfield. But then the fumble that Smothers loses. Now, what's interesting about this is you lose the ball. Iowa comes back out. The Blackshirts do their job. They go three. They go 3 and out. But because of where the ball was fumbled, Iowa punts it deep. And if I'm not mistaken, this is where a little thing, and we'll get into this with special teams, Oliver Martin fields the punt at the 7.
Yeah, and that's one of those where, usually you say feet in the 10, or sometimes they'll say the 8 or the 9, and you don't go back. To me, it's like
it's tough.
Those are tough. I'm more like where the coverage team is matters more than like almost if you're on the 6 or the 8.
Because they were surrounding Oliver Martin.
Do you think it would have I almost thought it had room to like where it was going to bounce and kick in. It could.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is I'm always make them down it.
Yeah.
Because it's a football. You don't know what's necessarily going to happen. It may have, been like a, Tigers wedge and just stopped and backed up. It could have whatever, or it could have and went in the end zone. But that's a big play.
Yeah, and that's where
fields it inside the 10.
I like going and faking it on the other side of the field, and that's where I'm happy he caught the ball. It wasn't inside the 5, but we put ourselves in, a tighter window then,
because then the next play, I didn't love the play call. It was kind of a slower, long developing pass that Smothers backs up, doesn't have good awareness. Pass rush gets on him, safety.
Yeah.
Intentional grounding, safety. Then 3 plays punt, and then 12 plays interception. And, that was the longest. There were so many reviews on that last 2-minute drill that was like that took all the drama out of it. And then on the final interception, I think Frost said afterwards it was a kind of an option route where I think the receiver has the option to sit down or run a post.
Yeah.
Clearly Smothers was throwing the post, and I think Teray sat down, but the bottom line is, he threw it to nobody. Ball game.
And for some reason, we struggle just doing those. I don't know what it is. I feel like we don't give ourselves like an easy enough option late in games. It never looks easy,
No.
And maybe this is just like I saw like Alabama, like, they just like throw it up and outside, and usually somebody's out. It's a safer play to me. Is like you just throw. Sometimes I think you're better off just throwing it up than trying to like when somebody's dropping like 8 or 9 guys. Like
right, you got these tight windows.
I think I like to simplify sometimes, where you just go, hey, one-on-ones. Let's just do one-on-ones. Like even like I remember the Michigan game, like it was a wheel to Teray. I actually don't mind that call because it's a chance. We didn't throw it well enough, but I think those are the kind of plays I would prefer more than just like trying to pick apart a zone.
Right.
I don't know.
Now, granted, it's all going to get scrapped anyways because there's probably going to be a new offensive coordinator, but we've talked about it. One of the things we've said is like something that needs to get fixed is Nebraska's 2-minute offense.
Yeah.
It just looks impossible. Like they look like they would just never.
We've never.
It would never
I think
work.
Martinez, maybe. I'm trying to think. We won against Illinois in 2019 where we came back. Yeah. That wasn't even 2-minute offense necessarily. We just came back second half. But I don't know that we've had a fourth quarter 2-minute comeback in 4 years now with Frost and Martinez.
And some of that I think is just in how they go about attacking it. But I don't know. I don't know enough about offense.
It's not a lack of attempts. We've had how many times where we've had an opportunity, and we've had more than like, it's not just like we have 10 seconds. We have a minute to 2 minutes. Like we truly have like
with
plenty of time with timeouts. Yeah. You either execute or you don't. Like and that's the part where it's like, oh, God, man, there's something to that where we just that's a part of our system. It's not just personnel, it's not just coaches, it's everything. We don't do that along with our special teams. Those are the 2 things where I go 2-minute offense, 4-minute offense, special teams.
And red zone. I throw red zone in there too.
Red zone, I think we've actually done a little bit better this year in ways, but You could probably throw that in there. And everything else were kind of a good
because
team.
if you look at their offensive numbers, they're pretty much they're top 5 in the Big Ten in almost every other offensive statistical category. They move the ball.
Nick, it's silly. I think one of the stats was in Big Ten play, we gave up 249 points.
Yeah.
And we scored 249 points, which means that we broke flat losing 9 games.
Right.
We lost 8 games. We lost 8 games or 9 games by 49 points, and we won 1 game by 49 points.
Think about that. Like it's
crazy. That's the part where it's the worst season in Nebraska history, but it's also the most bizarre season in maybe college football history. I've never seen it.
They're historic. Like this is going to be one of those seasons that I'm not even saying you have to be a Nebraska fan. Just some college football pundit 50 years from now is going to be like, hey, have you ever looked at this 2021 Nebraska football season? It's bizarre.
It's nuts.
I mean, it's statistically bizarre. Was there anything else with the offense we missed? I don't know what. I mean, little things like, of course, I would have liked to have seen sometimes. Now, he had the big game last game, Austin Allen. Sometimes I think I thought it became clear as the season progressed, he was the best player on the offense. Not named Martinez, obviously. Yeah. He only had 2 catches. Obviously, they're aware of who Austin Allen is too, and they're going to try to take him away. But like to see him get the ball a little bit more. Yant, I thought ran okay.
We still haven't gotten running backs.
No,
a running back that just wants to. It's funny you watch those games. Like I watched the Michigan State guy. Minnesota's backup running back. Michigan's running back was he had 5 touchdowns.
Did you see homeboy on the hurdle at the end of the game to seal it? He did that to Nebraska. Like,
dude, it's like when you see these other running backs around the Big Ten, it's just like we don't have a guy that's just like you can just give him the ball and that's your game plan.
Well, even Goodson for Iowa, like guy's better than everybody's Nebraska's had for 4 years.
Yeah,
and so with the, you want to go to the defense real quick, and then we'll finish with everybody's favorite unit, the special teams unit. So the defense, I think it's important to reiterate the fact that, I think it's important to reiterate the fact you have your best playmaking defender isn't out there in JoJo Domann.
Yeah,
you got to. I know he was out, but you got to remind yourself of that. And then no Damian Daniels. Especially against this team, that matters. So I think down 2 critical pieces on this defense. It's important to remind yourself with that.
Yeah.
So I think one of my prevailing things with this game was, and you'll have to feel me on this. So the defense did a good job most of the game of standing up when they needed to and forcing field goals. Even early in the game, they get the 4th and goal stop, which I can't believe they reviewed that, but that was so not even close to a catch.
Yeah.
The guy didn't have the ball.
Yeah.
Even like Laurinaitis, they were acting like they thought it was a catch, and it's like he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
When it squirts through your legs and
when you land and then it
and you give birth to a ball, you're like push. Did Ace Ventura 2 deliver a baby that came squirt? Was that in the hut?
What movie was?
I think it was Ace Ventura 2. I thought he was in the hut with the Wakichi tribe or whatever it was, and he shoved a pregnant belly. I thought that's pretty much what happened to.
Oh, that's bad.
And the baby would squirt. That's what happened to the football with the tight end guy. People were like, I don't know. What do you think it's a catch? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the fact that the ball got
and the ball is in the bleachers.
7 yards
I think
away
he caught
from
it.
I don't think he caught it. But they did a good job forcing field goals. But here's the thing. And I was thinking of this, and my dad was texting me the same thing. They had interceptions in their hands 3 separate times.
Yeah.
They were all on 3rd downs. And the next play, Iowa kicks field goals. That's 9 points. That's the game. Yes, special teams, we'll get into that. But when you get a chance to catch a ball, you got to make that play.
Nick, that's my one knock on this. I really like this defense. I'm proud of what they did this year. They were in tough circumstances.
Right.
They played a terrible schedule.
Yes, right.
They this is a straight up lunch pail group. Like they worked
They don't
hard.
have a superstar.
They showed up every week pretty much. Sans maybe a half against Minnesota. And I was like I said, I thought they did really well. The one knock on them is I don't think they do a good job of taking the ball away.
No.
And they definitely didn't intercept the ball probably as much as as much as people tried to throw on us. We just didn't take it away very much. But like you said, we've had opportunities and it just seems like we didn't have ball hawks, just, not one pick six this year.
No, that's right. I mean, Dirk in his column, which was really good. This is from Dirk's column. And it kind of spills into what you're saying. There's some other stuff, though. In 2021, Nebraska's offense and special teams directly handed opponents 43 points. You have a fumble, scoop 6 against Illinois, a pick 6 against Purdue, 1 kickoff return touchdown, Wisconsin, 1 block punt touchdown, Iowa, 1 punt return touchdown, Michigan State, 3 safeties, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, and a 2-point return, Oklahoma. Nebraska's special teams and defense created 0 points. We know about the special teams, right? Like we know that they've
given you nothing.
They've given you nothing. But one of the hidden things, and you and I have sung the praises, and deservedly so, because I think this is the best defense in a decade. The one thing, one of the biggest knocks on them is they were not ball hawks. And I'm not saying you got to go score points, but like they didn't do a good job of that.
When you score points on defense, it equates to wins. Like we talked about the numbers, like we lost 9 games by 49 points and we won 1 game by 49 points. Like you add a couple of scores in there, you win games, right? So whether that's special teams or defense, like I'm thinking back to, I mean, we always joke because you got Schick on, you guys that forever, done your stuff. And, but Schick used to work for the,
KTV
Channel 7. And he did a thing on our 2005 team called the West Coast Defense. It was like hilarious because we had scored 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Every linebacker scored a touchdown in the first 3 games.
Think about that.
And the first game against Maine, I scored a touchdown, and game was on the line.
Yeah, you guys were on the ropes.
The next game we scored three touchdowns against a pretty decent Wake Forest team that we didn't know we were, should have easily beat.
Right.
And we easily win there. And then I think the next game we might have scored. So we scored, scoring touchdowns on defense equals easier wins, or they win the game for you. And we love this defense. They've been a lunch pail group, but just like everything, when you don't ever score points or take the ball away, you have to be perfect in other areas.
Right.
And it's just too hard to be that perfect.
That's it. I mean, because they certainly weren't perfect against Iowa. They were pretty good though. And they again, it's hard because they did their job. They got off the field. They forced a field goal and all those sorts of things. But they had 3 interceptions in their hands that would have taken 9 points off the board.
That's it.
Let's say you even get 1 of those, 2 of those. And so when you don't do those things, you're asking for it, and you got to be perfect.
Those things add up to they add up over time and over a season. So maybe one game you get that pick and it doesn't get you the win, but you do that consecutively. Those things add up, and over the course of a season, you will win more games. You will have more points. It all adds up. That's why sometimes looking at those end of the year big stats, it shows you how close it all actually is.
Right. That stuff makes it. So to me,
9 games, 49 points.
I just think
find 49 points on special teams and defense over the course of a season.
It's easy to do, I shouldn't say it's easy to do, but you should score more than 0, and for everybody's going to point to, and deservedly so, the safety, the block punt return for a touchdown. But in some ways, the game was these 3 dropped interceptions. You catch 1 of those, 2 of those, 3 of those, it's a different game. And I even think about trying to rack my brain. Last year they had a scoop and score, I think, against Penn State.
Yeah, Deontay Williams stripped it
and then did Miles Farmer get a pick 6?
He almost scored against Northwestern, but then didn't.
So I'm just trying to.
I don't know. Did we not get in that on that one?
I can't. I'm just. I guess we against Northwestern. No.
Yeah. So score.
And by the way, you lost that game 21-13.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to even think about not just this year, but one of the things that's interesting, because this is supposed to be an aggressive attacking defense, which it is, but they've not done a good enough job getting the ball. Because you go back throughout the whole time Chinander's been here, they just haven't, the defense has not scored a lot.
Well, one, we don't get any
strip sacks.
We just don't have pass rushers right now that are just wrecking pockets. And, and the more that happens, the more bad throws, more tip balls. But, the guy that it's on the back in my head right now that like going into the year, did we say is the best player in this team?
Cam Taylor-Britt.
This season, how much did Cam Taylor-Britt change a game? That's my issue. He's our best guy on defense.
Right.
And I would say as the year ended, I would say JoJo was our best player on defense. He's the guy that made all the plays.
Right.
I felt like our secondary.
Deontay Williams made more plays.
And
maybe that's a product of safety versus corner, but at the same time, Cam Taylor-Britt got a lot of balls thrown at him.
That's my issue is like, as much as like, I guess my expectations for Cam were he was going to dominate.
So
games.
Did I.
He was going to be our pick six guy. He was going to be the guy that sort of,
he made one play at Minnesota. Remember the third quarter?
Yeah.
He makes the one, but other than that,
a good player.
That's not what we're saying.
Went into the season, Cam was, in our minds was like, he's the guy.
Yes. No, it's a good point.
He became a guy like he was a liability on special teams.
And he kind of got like early. It got better as the season wore on, but it kind of felt like early in the year, he gave up a lot of big third down, like comeback routes at the sticks.
Nick, that's sort of like, if you look at Cam Taylor-Britt's year, that tells you a lot about this season.
You need your best players to be your best players, and you need your best players to make difference-making plays pretty much every Saturday. The one thing you got to give JoJo, as the season wore on, JoJo made
more and more plays.
Like, I'm not so sure if you start ranking like defenders. Like, I mean, you'd throw JoJo above Cam Taylor-Britt. You'd throw Deontay Williams. You'd maybe throw Damian Daniels. You'd maybe throw Reimer.
At this point, I look at the guys that like were consistently the best, and Cam Taylor-Britt, like the one thing about him is like we had to pull, like he was supposed to be he was our best return guy, but he couldn't catch a punt. In 3 weeks in a row, he muffed punts.
Right.
And the Illinois one,
I still, in a weird way,
signaled how the year was going to go.
I honestly think I wonder right now, and at some point we should do just like some other wine pod where we recap the entire season and have like stupid hypotheticals and different things like that. But like, I'm not so sure that if you didn't ask me, now the answer to this question is probably the Michigan State punt. But if you could change one play of the season, which one would you change? I think you changed the Michigan State punt. But I think in a lot of ways, Cam Taylor-Britt's play to start the year, getting a safety on the punt, we already know this team's fucked up here. Like they got a psychological problem. And that just set the tone for the year of like,
otherwise we're 3-0 going into Oklahoma.
Right. And there isn't just this like, I mean, you wonder if like in a weird way, like Cam doing what he did somehow created this energy that hit Culp, and he was like, oh God.
I mean, Nick.
Man. It just
the way the fans reacted after the Illinois game. Like I was in the parking lot for Fordham, and there weren't a lot of people there. It was a gorgeous, hot summer day, essentially, and we don't got anybody because they're pissed about the Illinois. And the team feels that. It might be the Michigan State punt,
but I'm telling you, Bo,
it may be the Iowa punt block. But that freaking safety,
it just feels like it set the tone for everything.
Everybody that was watching Nebraska play, they were excited about the year. I think their excitement left when he muffed that.
I think there was this thing. Play. Yeah, everybody went, oh, this year, you went into this season going, this season's going to be different. And then immediately you go, oh, this season's going to be.
Our best player just did that.
Right. And you know how this is. When your best player, like, especially on a football team, when how many are on a travel roster? 50 some, 50, 60, maybe it's 60 some. Yeah. Like when 60 dudes see the best player captain make a mistake, like it kind of, there's a little boy
matters more.
And
I don't like this.
And I don't want this to come off like we're ripping Cam Taylor Britt
because the season's over. Like that's not all the case. I think it's just like we're talking about big picture, the defense. Like, why haven't we had more turnovers? And my first thought was like, I guess I always expected him this year.
I thought Cam was that guy.
This was his year. I thought he was going to have like 3 pick six.
Right.
I thought he was going to be like I kept thinking number 5. I kept thinking DeJuan Gross.
Right.
He's going to be the next punt returner.
He's going to be the punt returner. I thought between punt returns and defense, he was going to have 8 to 10 big plays.
Yeah, like
not necessarily touchdown, game change, big return, big pick.
And I don't know that he didn't have 1 pick, did he?
Well, he had the Minnesota one. We said the Minnesota one.
Oh, yeah.
But
Minnesota.
other than that, like he had a couple of pass breakups. Like Michigan tried to test him. But
I just pick against Illinois and Caleb Tanner.
Very true.
So here's where I'll defend him is he made that play.
Right.
And that got taken away in the stats. So I mean, there was a couple bad plays that went against him too. But we don't want to shit on him because he's a good player.
No, and we're not. I mean, I think we're just saying like, I mean, listen, I think everybody I thought he was going to be one of the best players in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm surprised, I guess, because my expectations were probably too high. But like all indications after last year was like he was trending towards that.
Right. Well, even I mean, the one thing that the one thing that you were really good at, and I know you're humble and you don't like tough, but like the one thing you were good at was you made big splash plays. I mean, you have Maine, Ball State, Iowa State, Texas Tech. You have 3 pick sixes. Am I missing one?
No, because I
ran down. You got ran down by an offensive lineman against Texas Tech.
So should have 5 TDs. Should have 6 TDs. In my head, I should have 7 TDs.
But think about that. This team had.
I was too unathletic to score.
Yeah, right. But you were too tired. I think
I would more credit to too tired. If I was fresh.
There's nothing to do with the athleticism. You just were tired.
Take a breath. I could have made it there, maybe.
But I guess you're one player. You individually, as one player in one season, made more touchdowns and splash plays than this defense did like the entire year.
That's the issue. To me, is like I just didn't see. I see a little ball hawk out of Reimer.
JoJo's got an instinct to make a big play.
JoJo had the timing.
Right.
JoJo had the ability.
He forced the fumble in Northwestern right inside the 5. He shot in there and blew up JoJo's got that.
JoJo has that thing, and he's always kind of had that thing.
Right.
And some guys have it, and some guys don't.
Right.
Like Dismuke doesn't have it. Deontay Williams really doesn't have it. He kind of does, not really. Quentin Newsom doesn't got it. And Cam Taylor Britt, unfortunately, didn't have it.
No.
I mean, you got a whole season. You play every snap. They threw at you enough.
You should have.
Something.
I guess that's what I mean.
And then our Caleb Tanner doesn't have it. Nelson doesn't have it.
Then Ty Robinson, Casey Rogers.
They haven't had it.
They haven't really had it.
Henrich hasn't had the big play yet. I think
he's a meat and potatoes guy.
Yeah, he's a lunch pail.
Yeah,
he's great in that sense, but I don't think he's a splash, make the big play guy.
Right.
So majority of our defense are not those guys. I think Reimer and JoJo were our guys. I thought it was supposed to be Cam. So I mean that's something they're going to have to find somebody. I think especially Nick, defensive back.
Right.
Pass rushers. Yeah, of course we want. We just can't get them.
When you watch Hutchinson, and you're just like, oh man.
I'm high on Hutchinson.
Oh, I mean, you watch Hutchinson, and it's like
you
not only is he a good player, but he
plays so hard.
You're like, oh man,
Nick, not your sex phone, not your phone sex line. Is this the Aiden Hutchinson phone sex line? Not
I feel like Chenander's like, I'm gonna make a few calls, and he's
recruiting to do. Aiden, it's me. It's Chenander again. I know you don't ever answer my
swim move.
call.
Oh God, you swam that guy.
Have you ever thought about teaching bull rush clinics? I'm not saying I'd pay for it, but I'd pay for it. Okay.
I feel like HR calls in Chenander, like, we got a hold of your laptop. We saw this Google search. Aiden Hutchinson sacks.
There is a restraining order, Eric.
We've flagged a couple of these websites. AidenHutchinson.com. Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden's made it clear. He does not want to come to Nebraska. He's going pro. He will not enter the transfer portal, and you must stay 500 yards away from him. He made that very clear.
But that's how we're all Chenander, and we're all getting called to HR because you watch that guy and you're like, oh, yeah.
That's the one position on defense. If you have that kind of guy.
There's a domino effect to that.
I mean, everything else gets easier.
Right.
If you got an edge dude that's freakazoid stud, Chase Young, Hutchinson. The guy from Purdue's really good. Changes your life. If you're a defensive coordinator, that's like you just go, what should we call? Well, we don't have to blitz. We don't have to Chenanders. Poor
He's got the centerfold of Hutchinson.
Dude, check out that arm length. Check out. It's got reach, man. Whoa, check out that reach.
Tuioti, come check this out.
Check that. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Bro, check out that reach.
Look at that get off. Oh, man.
Guy's got a neck.
You got an Aiden Hutchinson calendar.
On the wall.
It's October. Hutchinson swim move.
In a firefighter outfit. Pretty rad, huh?
November. Hutchinson the lumberjack. He's got it.
Guy chops wood, huh? Okay. Pretty badass. Hey, pretty badass, huh?
Check out my calendar.
Is that a calendar?
Hey, check it out. Davison, check it out.
Is that a calendar of Hutchinson? Yeah, cool, right?
Awesome, man. Look at this thing every day.
Oh, man.
Okay. I don't even know where.
Can we edit all this out?
No, we're keeping it all in. It's good.
God.
I don't know how I'd turn every conversation about football into like phone sex or like.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. This is my fault. I'll take this one on my fault. But I just can't help it. When I watch that Michigan Ohio State game, I just found myself like my eyes go to him. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Dude, it's been we've had the Bosas. We've had
Chase Young.
We've had and now Hutchinson. And then the other dude for Michigan, I forget his name. The other end is really good.
Yes.
The dude for Purdue, like there's been a handful of these dudes in the Big Ten that are just like they're wrecking shop, and we need to get one. Now that we had a Gregory, had Gregory, then came, thinking like TJ Watt, JJ Watt. These are like the Big Ten dudes that we've seen over the years. And like we need to get in there.
Get one of those guys. So then Chenander can get a calendar of one of his own guys. Like, check it out.
Poor Chins.
In a firefighter outfit. Hutchinson in a firefighter outfit.
That's terrible.
I think it's good.
Gosh.
But the other thing is, sorry.
We should really think about cutting this.
No way, man. This is great.
All right, people. Don't kill us.
Listen, whatever. What are you going to do? I mean, we've done this for 12 games. And it's been ridiculous.
You did do the phone sex line twice this year. So
yeah, I know. That's not
we've
good.
Dug our hole.
Well, at this point, if you're surprised, that's on you. You haven't been listening. So I don't know how this has been the longest discussion on the defense that has it. But like the other thing that was unfortunate, they gave up a long chunk run again at a bad time. They did it last week against Wisconsin. Goodson creased him 55 yards off tackle with the game tied at 21.
Did Casey Rogers blow out?
What happened? I was going to ask you that.
It was the last play.
Yeah, and he was like
a kneel.
God.
I think it hurt in the last play.
He did. He did. Was he trying to do like? What was he doing?
I think they probably like shot off. Trying to.
Seriously, what happened?
I don't know. They may have ran it too. They might have did a handoff.
But he went down on like the snap of the ball. He went down.
That's
which is like, oh my God.
You want to talk about feel bad for somebody? I don't know if he blew out his knee. If he blew out his knee on the last play of the year,
that's all time.
Oh, that's too bad.
I hope not. I wrote a couple other things down. So we talked about the replay on the touchdown catch. Laporta gave birth to a football, so obviously that was not a catch. Caleb Tanner was lucky he didn't get ejected. He hit the official. I guess you didn't see. So on his personal foul, him and a guy are like shoving each other, and then the official comes and like, does the whole thing like this. And Caleb Tanner hit the official. Like,
I think that guy's had 3 personal fouls.
Right.
I would love to see it. I mean, that's one thing is like,
almost like got to thank the official, like for like not. I mean, he could have easily. Sometimes officials are quick to like, I mean, but he hit his hand.
I don't know how you get a freaking unsport. I mean, I don't. I think that's just being an idiot. I really truly.
Casey Rogers got one.
I've never gotten a.
He O'Doyle the guy good. He O'Doyle the first quarterback.
No, wasn't that Ty Robinson?
Or was it Ty Robinson?
Yeah,
that's spending too much time with Jason Peter.
Yeah,
Jason Peter's like, here's the move of the day.
Smash
the guy's face. You take his face and you eat it. You're gonna eat his face.
I think that's why we like Ty though, because we know whatever he does, Peter's been like. So when he got up and he had a sack and he was throwing, I look for Peter. I look to see where Peter's at in the sideline. Like,
Peter. Anytime Ty does anything, Peter's like, "That's my boy."
It is. It's like his long lost son.
Okay, you and I watched Cobra Kai. It's like Johnny Lawrence and he got him into heavy metal. I think they're listening to Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, like driving to the stadium and like, this is what you do, man. Shake a guy's face off.
He's showing Ty the way.
Just shove a guy. Jason was like, oh yeah.
But you know what's funny is like, I'll give him like, okay, you touched his head. I actually thought that was like closer to a clean play than not. Like, he hit the guy.
He's going to
hit his face. But he didn't like pull it, right? Okay, yeah.
I mean,
when you hit him, they don't want you touching their head. But that was one where, like, if you can't hit with your head, it's like, where do you hit him?
And
he had his hands up
to try and block the pass or whatever. You know what I mean?
And you're supposed to like not.
I don't know.
It gets hard. Man.
It gets really hard. But I know Jason was really proud.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I saw like, and I saw
Jason's calendar at his house is going to have Ty Robinson smushing a guy's face. Like, oh yeah,
that's how you do a head slap.
That's what you do. I do. The other thing, couple of things I wrote down. I did kind of feel like, even though the numbers wouldn't necessarily bear it out, did you kind of feel like if Iowa would have wanted to, they could have just ran it up Nebraska's ass the whole game? Maybe I'm wrong. I just felt like if they would have committed to just pounding Goodson off tackle, they would have had success.
If I were them, I would have done stretch off tackle, boot, throw the tight. I would have done that every other play, basically.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it's neither here nor there, but like
when they just dropped back and threw it, I thought
you were like, thank God. Yeah, because I don't think either. Because you could Petrus, their backup, started in the second half. He wasn't necessarily. Both those quarterbacks are pretty average. Certainly,
I didn't even notice they switched quarterbacks.
They switched quarterbacks. I think
I'm
they have
you,
like
at the end of the game, I heard that and I was like, Nick, when I say like I usually think I notice things, I didn't notice.
I feel like Iowa has just like a cupboard full of like these like game managing like white like every quarter Ricky stands up like
average quarterback,
average arm, he'll never try to make a mistake. Like that's what they are.
Average arm, average speed. The good part about him, he's an average thinker, average decision maker. What's his throwing percentage? Pretty average, 50%.
But that's what's crazy is they're in the Big Ten title game.
All you got to be is average. To run that offense, you just got to be average and don't turn the ball over.
Hey,
throw it to tight ends on boots.
Would I've not they recruited Nick Bahe.
If anybody doesn't know this story,
yes.
Nicholas Allen Bahe, after your junior year, super state quarterback, Iowa offered you a scholarship and said they'd have you be their only quarterback, which you turned down without thinking.
I didn't even. Chuck Mazursky told me, I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
And I still, like, to this day, we talk about it and laugh because you didn't understand at that time how big of a deal.
Oh, it's a huge deal.
That is.
That's a huge deal. It's Iowa.
To be, like, they're recruiting people, all over the country to come be that guy. And you were just like, oh, no, I play basketball. And yet you didn't think about it.
No, I was like,
but like that is such a big deal.
I feel like USC could have offered me, and I'm like, nah.
I think you would have taken USC though. Like, wow, this is amazing. Right? Because Iowa at the time though,
they had just hired Ferentz. They
were just like Nebraska had walloped them a few times. Yeah. They played them, and they were
and
in the
Big Ten football was like,
and it wasn't as good then.
No,
and so Iowa got good like when Greenway was there, like 05, 06, 07, they started getting better. But like in 2002, when that happened, you were kind of like. It might as well have been South Dakota to you.
Yeah, it's like, come on, Iowa.
No, I'm playing basketball.
But I guess I bring that up to be like, I do fit their cupboard.
Nick, you would have
6'2", just average arm, but like
you were. I'll say good, like not average game managers, really good game managers.
I didn't make mistakes. I was 15 yards and in. I was pretty accurate.
You understood what needed to be done.
Right.
That's the part that like
I better have a lot around me.
Yeah.
But like. we don't need to get into Nick Bahe's career, but like,
but I
guess I'll bring it up. Like, I mean, it's just
that's your Iowa connection that is kind of amazing. Like that could have been.
I would have
been one of those guys.
I fit in perfect. I would have fit in perfect to how they play.
Yeah, I mean, just manage the game.
Manage the game, hit the tight end on a boot,
but it's a lot of that, good-looking play action.
Yeah,
just
that's what I did.
Easy throws.
That's what I did.
And they rarely just like bomb the ball down the field, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. The other thing before we get to everybody's favorite phase of the team, special teams, is there a part of you that your heart hurt every time Keegan Johnson did anything for Iowa? Is there a part of you that one? That
he could have been a big part of our team the last 2 years, and that's the truth. Because he's sort of a possession receiver.
Yes.
And you put him with Betts and Manning, and you kind of go, and especially Torrey this year too. It's like
it hurt.
He's basically wherever Levi Falk would be, you'd put Keegan there, who's just a better version of that.
It hurt a little bit every time he did anything. He's like John at Cam Taylor-Britt, and I'm just like, it hurt. Yeah, he cue up Michael Bolton. How am I supposed to live without you? Heck, like I'm like a huge Keegan Johnson guy. But
I don't even know Keegan. I get the sense though that like he's probably a winner.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He looks like he's got. Well, I mean, his dad. Clester was a winner.
Bellevue West when he was there, he won a lot.
Yeah, like
he was
gets
their
it.
guy.
He's just a guy that gets it.
That's what I'm saying. Guys that get it, guys that won in high school.
He's a freshman. Kirk Ferentz is like. Now I'm sure some of it was like, okay, we're in homeboys home. Town, we're gonna not hometown, but home state, and we need to get him involved. But they're running reverses to him on big plays. They're going to him on comeback routes.
Like, is he a true?
I thought he was a true freshman. Am I tripping, or was he a freshman last year?
I think he was a freshman last year. Maybe I'm losing my mind.
Maybe I'm too. COVID, the 2020 season is like I kind of like forget that it even happened. But okay, Keegan Johnson, you might be right. He might be a sophomore. He's a freshman.
Is he really?
I mean, based on, I think he's a freshman.
You might be right.
I think he's a freshman.
I just like it.
Scored 2 touchdowns this year. Son of a biscuit. It hurt my heart. I just want to say that. It hurt my heart.
He would have helped us more than he's helping them. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Whatever he's done there, I think he would have done more here.
That's what I think. But I mean, he's also in the Big Ten title game. And I mean, Nebraska is 3-9. But that's.
But he's a Nebraska guy.
I know it hurt. It hurt. I just wanted to throw that in there. It hurt my heart when he was talking smack to Cam Taylor-Britt. It hurt my heart. Okay, fans, let's hear it for everybody's favorite unit, special teams. In this game, Iowa's kicker, of course, he's 4 for 4. Just bangs field goals from 51, 48, 44, and 36.
There's no doubt.
I mean, just dead through the uprights. There was no sneaking anything in. The block punt. What'd you see? A guy missed a guy.
No,
what happened?
No, there is a guy that is free on these punts, right? There's a guy that's allowed to just go, but the idea is you got your up backs. I thought that do you always move the two guys to the side of the foot, but you don't. Apparently, there's a right and a left kick.
Okay.
And apparently this was a right kick.
Okay.
And so it's actually more on the snapper, the punter, to be quick, to disguise the snap count, and you're supposed to angle a little bit.
Towards the 2 upbacks.
Towards the way you're going is from my understanding.
Because they were to the right.
To the right. The snap, I have to look at it again, but I believe the snap was like either straight back or drifted a little bit. It's a left-footed punter, and the guy for Iowa made a really good play. But it's on our snapper to disguise the snap count, and he did not. And that Iowa guy, I think they had it in Mitch Sherman's article, basically said, like, we knew this was open. We had it timed. I timed it and got it. Like, then he bent the corner, but like you're supposed to, it's about like distance, time and distance, quick snap, you angle, he has to go farther and bend. Like it becomes harder to do. It shouldn't happen. We made it just easy enough for him, right? We made it where the snap was slow with a timed count to a left-footed punter where the 2 guys are on the opposite side.
Ooh.
All those things add up to you can get your punt blocked.
And that's what happened. And not only did it get blocked, it goes straight up in the air, guy catches it, runs it.
That's our luck, though, right?
Right.
I think one of Dirk's stats were we statistically are one of the unluckiest teams ever.
Yeah.
Which is true. I think that's a factor. I am more now thinking that we make a lot of our luck too.
Right.
So luck is real. It's a part of the game. The ball will bounce one way or the other, but you can, with how much skill you have, affect your luck.
Totally agree. So okay, that's good. That's a good breakdown of that of the block punt.
So it wasn't a missed blocking assignment. It was more like executing correctly.
Right.
Snap, punter. Instead of the right-footed guy, we had the left-footed guy. What happened the next play? Guess who we had out there?
Yeah, the right-footed guy.
Right-footed guy. On a right punt.
Which is kind of like, is Nebraska the only team that has two punters? Like they rotate two different punters?
No, I don't know.
I mean they've kind of settled into Pristup after Cerny's Michigan State Outback Steakhouse.
When Kroike happened.
When he Outback Steakhouse late.
He went out to have a steakhouse. Everybody else went to the Olive Garden or something. I don't know. It seems like only Cerny was like, Kroike, I want a steak and a bloomin' onion.
But it's just interesting. I don't feel like
Kroike.
Kroike.
Oh, Kroike went left. It was a right punt. Oh, Kroike.
The kangaroo went left, didn't he?
That little dingo got it on the run.
But it's two punters is just a weird thing to me.
But Nick, all that means is you got no punters.
Yeah, if
you got two, you got none. These other teams have one punter, and they're all great, which sucks. These Big Ten specialists are good.
I know they're really good. I mean, it's a ball control special teams field position conference for everybody not named Ohio State.
And I think that's what makes us look especially bad. Is like
they're atrocious at all those things.
We're bad, and they're really good at that. So when we this same system and coaching staff went down to UCF, and that stuff didn't matter as much
because everybody else
kicked everybody's butt.
Right.
They were better.
And the rest of the conference was kind of outside of, I think, Navy. Like the rest of the conference was kind of like, all right, you're going to throw it. All right,
let's do a shootout.
First to 55, man.
And we were better at it.
Deal?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like that's what D?
Welcome to the American Athletic Conference. Special teams. Fuck that, right?
Should we just cancel special teams?
Cool. After third down, we don't get it. How about you just get it like at the 30? Cool with us? Deal? All right.
Let's go for it and fourth every time. Agreed?
That's pretty much what it was. But Frost said it was the game, and he's right. It was the block punt was the biggest play of the game.
It was the game.
It's the game.
It's the game.
We already talked about Oliver Martin fielding the punt at the 7, setting up the safety. I just would rather see, make them down it. Make them down it. But it's just pretty amazing. We went over it with Dirk's little thing. But I mean, special teams this year, they give a kickoff return touchdown, punt return touchdown, block punt touchdown, block PAT return for a touchdown, aka 2 points, safety on a punt return. Not to mention the thousands. I mean, I bet it's in the thousands, the hidden yards lost every single game. I bet it's in the thousands. If you
sum it
up the whole year,
whole season, special teams, field position, it equates to points.
It's
like
crazy.
Think about it. Every 100 yards that they get, or even every 80 yards, is essentially a touchdown, right?
Right.
So like every 80 yards that they get more of field position from special teams, like it's a touchdown.
It's just,
have
you ever watched even the Santino Panico year? Like, I just don't know if I've ever watched a season where a major college football team, just the chances of them ever having a punt return or a kickoff return that was just decent, not even saying a scoring, decent, was zero. There was a 0% chance of that.
How you don't have a punt return for more than 10 yards? I don't know if we've had one more than 10 yards. Not that I can
doubt
remember.
it.
And I know we have not had a kickoff return that crossed 35 or 40.
No,
I mean that. That's unacceptable.
Right.
That is so unacceptable as a standard for your special teams. Like, we essentially just decided, here's the plan. Let's give up on trying and not make mistakes.
Right. Let's fair catch everything or not even try to catch and just take the ball on kickoffs at the 25, and on punts, let's just hope the ball doesn't get downed at the 2. and call it a win.
It's when you see it happen for an entire season, you figure out how much yardage
it costs you.
And I feel like the times we did bring it out, we wouldn't even get to the 25. So it'd be like, well,
yeah, then you start going,
yeah, because then it might be the smart play to just take it at the 25.
But still, any way you slice it, it's still not acceptable.
It's not acceptable that you don't have the threat to take it out.
Because the reality is, if you were to hand this season in all 12 games to a group of, like, say you and I opened a consulting business for football teams, like we will diagnose, analyze, and present solutions to your football program.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty, I think if you handed this program, and in particular this season, to any group of football consultants, the biggest problem is special teams. The biggest problem plaguing this team is special teams. And you could argue, and we've talked about that, you could argue that it cost them. You could argue it cost them every game, but you could argue it cost them the Oklahoma game, Michigan State game, the Ohio State game, the Wisconsin game, and the Iowa game.
Okay, since you have a crack staff of
football analysts
that listen to this, I am asking for a favor. If somebody could somehow find the total special teams yardage difference in terms of how much they punted versus our punt, how much our kickoff
I'd
versus
love to see what that number is.
How many field goals we made and missed versus our opponents, how many, points, obviously. Like, I'd love to see the total yardage and point difference.
Right.
I think you had the points, but with the yardage, because we can almost equate points off those too.
So, yeah, because if they get a certain amount of points or yards,
if anybody knows how to do that or to find it, that would be like the best.
Seems like a Sam McEwen type thing. Sam always has stuff like that. But
where's the stat
I don't know.
They go for this.
I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, AidenHutchinson.com, I think probably.
I thought that's just where we buy the calendar.
That's where the calendars are. But you're right. Like if you just could nice and neatly go, special teams was minus X amount of yards and got outscored this many points like that. Yeah. So that's why I'll be real interested. And I think these things are going to happen fast as we kind of wrap all this up with the staff hires on, like, I know there's a part of, I can tell a part of you and even a part of me for a long time. You kind of fight. Special teams is one of those things that it's not a problem until it's a big problem. Like it's easy to dismiss it, and it's easy to just kind of farm out to people and be like, just whatever, man, we'll get through it. But it's clear, like, I mean, Chattel wrote it in his column after the game. Like, I don't know how I don't know how they can't. I mean, clearly they gotta address it.
They got to, Nick. Like, they got to. It's either Scott Frost has to coach it,
right,
or he's got to hire a special teams coach. It's to the break. The blocked punt against Iowa was the breaking point.
Made it so
I don't know that he has a choice now.
I mean, I almost feel like even Brev would have to intervene and be like, no. You have one of these guys that you hire has to be a special teams coach.
You know what I was thinking about as an analogy for us? Like, we were like, the analogy to us the last 4 years with special teams was like, yeah, we know it's a big deal, and we're working on it. It's like the people that are like, you know what? Yeah, like, you know what's terrible for you? Smoking.
Right. Yeah.
Don't smoke. And every day they go out and they still smoke. Or the people are like, you know what's really bad for you? Social media. And you really shouldn't be on social media. It's bad for your brain.
Right.
You know, people that everybody says it.
Right.
Everybody acknowledges it. And then everybody stays on social media.
Right.
So it tells me they don't really believe it the way they should believe it.
Totally agree. That's a perfect analogy.
So, like, to me, there's a difference between, like, yeah, we know there's a problem. We want to get this problem fixed. And, like, all we're doing is fix. Like, you got to be a cold turkey sometimes, right? You can't smoke ever. You can't
halfway quit smoking.
Yeah, drinking's bad for you. You can never drink again, right? Like, you can't, like, these things that, like, you almost have to lay down the extreme of, like, to fix this, you can't sort of just be like, yeah, it's a problem and we want it to be better. It's like, no, you have to never let it be what it was before.
Because it is undeniable. Because even a little bit of what we talked about at the start of this year, I think over the course of the Frost era, it's been easy to dismiss things of like, like fluke. They'll catch their break. Eventually they're going to get over the hump. But as the sample size of this has gone up and up and up and up. And now all of a sudden you blink and you're 4 years into it. You can't dismiss this as it'll get better kind of a thing.
It was specialists until it wasn't specialists, right? It was specialists till we give up a kick return to blocked punt to lose the games for us.
And like what's hard is I can simultaneously agree that specialist, like there is a specialist problem, but that also doesn't mean that there isn't a special teams problem too. Like both those things are true. Like they need a full-fledged, they need to revamp everything they're doing with that unit, and they have to hire a guy.
It's got to mean everything to you. Like this might sound cheesy, but like you have to decide and make a decision that it's the most important thing. And that's really like, let's be honest, we're all kind of like special teams.
It's
right. But if that's how you feel,
right,
that's what it will be, right? I go back to Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. It was Beamer ball. It was defense and special teams. He coached the special teams, I believe. I think I always thought was under the impression he was their coach.
Right.
And like it's got to mean that much. And I get the sense that I look at our personnel out there on the kick coverage and the punt return. I'm like, are those our best guys?
Right.
I mean, I didn't like special teams that much, but I was on punt team every year because that was the most important thing was we don't let punts get blocked. Right.
Right.
And so we always had starters on the punt team. Right. And sometimes when I was younger, I played all the special teams, did them all. Right. That was part of your coming up
of getting on the field.
If you're a scholarship guy who's not the starter, you absolutely are expected and should want to be on special teams, which we did. But I just don't know that I'm getting that sense out of our backup guys that like, especially DBs and receivers. I'm not seeing any of those DBs out there.
No,
which is odd.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The backup DBs they're scholarship guys
should be
on there. The backup receivers or scholarship guys should be on there.
The backup linebackers that are on scholarship need to be
unquestionably got to be on.
I mean, no, you're right. And that's what you're like. This needs to be, you can't explain this away anymore. It to me, you almost want to say, I mean, Scott, like everybody wants this to work. You got 1 year to get it right now. At least if you're going to go down addressing with every single resource and fiber in your being, addressing the one thing that I think has plagued this program more than anything else, outside of the psychological issues that we're going to get, but like the most tangible thing you can point to that has held this program back for 4 years, because this isn't a new thing. This isn't like a new problem. This has been a reoccurring thing that I will say I have explained it away. Even as someone that you and I cover this, I mean, it's easy to be like, they'll get it right. It was easy to be like, they can't be as bad as they were, or it was easy to be like, well, it's just it was easy to point to just the field goal kicker or just
I know they made improvements on things this off. So like we can't pretend they didn't try. They tried. I just think that there's trying and then there's quitting smoking. Like I tried and then sometimes I don't.
Totally.
And then you cold turkey. This is the most important thing here. Right.
You're so right.
And it sucks to say, but like, who wants that to be special teams? Well, we need it to be.
Yes.
That's the point, is like Alabama, it doesn't have to be. They don't have to make special teams their most important thing. They got enough talent.
Right.
They got good coaches. They're going to be fine.
Right.
Saban just knows this everything. Like,
right.
They're not going to have to worry about it. They got 5 stars running down on every kickoff, every punting, right? They're lucky in that sense.
They can kind of throw half effort at it and it'll be serviceable.
Doesn't matter. But I did see their best receiver got ejected for covering a punt.
So you're like, and you better believe they're going to have somebody back there that if they field a kickoff or field a punt and they have a shred of space, they're pretty electric.
Oh God, yeah.
And so
that's where I think the mindset can't be, hey, we just got to try not to make mistakes on special teams. It's got to be like, we need to become one of the best special teams units in the country. Needs to be our mindset. And that's a different mindset. That takes the head coach and everybody in the building being completely sold out that this is everything.
I'll I'll be pretty disappointed, and I think a lot of people will, if when Scott announces all these new staff members, and there isn't a special teams coach.
So I think we need to talk about this because this is going to happen quick, right? So they got recruiting.
Yeah. How do you give me? So like, okay, so there are four hires to make. You have to hire an offensive coordinator.
OC's coming.
You have to hire an offensive line coach.
Line's coming.
We think you need to hire a special teams coach.
Let's table that. Let's get our running backs coach first.
And then wide receivers.
Wide receivers and special teams is 4 and 5, right? Mm-hmm. So the issue then becomes
somebody's got to double duty this thing.
Because we had a quarterback coach
and an OC. That the OC was also the wide receivers.
And OC did wide receivers. So the OC here could do quarterbacks. The OC could do wide receivers. The head coach could do quarterbacks. The head coach could do wide receivers. You probably wouldn't. So it's either the OC or the head coach got to do quarterbacks. The coach was a
quarterback.
But we kind of want Frost to be freed up to do everything. So to me, that means somebody's got to take on wide receivers if the OC does quarterbacks.
Right. So I just wonder how all that's going to shake out.
And then the issue becomes if you think you need if the OC doesn't do quarterbacks, then then you got to get a quarterbacks coach, and then you can't get your special teams because we're limited on, and then you can't really take away from defense.
But like, okay, let's say there has to be an OC, there has to be an offensive line coach. Like to me, like those, there has to be a dedicated. I think those two you can't like.
Yes.
So, okay, OC O-line. So now you need running back and wide receiver. How is this get?
And the OC technically could do running backs and receivers if they wanted to, or quarterbacks. The OC could take one of those three.
So I think there has to be. So I'm going to say there's perfect scenario. OC, there's a dedicated special teams coach, and there's an offensive line coach. So now we have to figure out how. I mean, can Becton do wide receivers?
I think he could.
Because I think in a perfect world, you do OC, QB, special teams, O-line. Could you do O-line running backs?
No. That's the only bad part is you kind of need. I mean, I think receivers, tight ends would be the best that you combine. Yeah, I mean it's I think you got to probably do that.
Or
the OC's got to do running backs,
which I think is doable.
It's doable, right? But
I just don't know. I mean, you start. That's a lot of. You have the positions you got to fill are OC, wide receiver, quarterback, running back, special teams.
Yeah, special teams goes from Dawson and assistant analyst helpers to that. But I think they need a dedicated special teams coach because it's got to be somebody that's like got some juice, man. I mean, let's be real. Like,
yes,
you got to have somebody that's
got cred. They've done it. They've done it well.
Yeah, they got to be an expert at it. It's funny in the paper today. I think it was either Chattel or McEwen said that. Like they were talking about names like Tom Herman.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, Jerry Kill was thrown out there, but he took the New Mexico State head coaching job. So Jerry Kill's off the board. But you've heard names like Tom Herman thrown out there.
Does Herman not have a head coaching spot?
I mean, no, I don't. I don't even know where he's at.
It's like,
but I mean, because that's the other thing too. And I know we talked about this a little bit last week. Again, there's an element of who you hire has to kind of fit your personnel. And I get there's going to be a huge dipping into the portal here where you can kind of go find guys that fit whoever you want. So if you want to become a power running option team or something like that, which I already think Nebraska's kind of built for that because they're already kind of doing that. But yeah, it's a lot of this stuff. Not only do you need to hire the best guy, but you need to hire the best guy that can make it work right now.
Well, so a lot of times what happens, I think, is especially in this
moment in time with the transfer portal is like, if an OC leaves a school or a head coach, that's been fired like Herman, they've got some guys that they recruited that they're their guys. Uh-huh. And you got to imagine that, like, if you're a backup at another school and your coach leaves, or even if you're a starter at that school, you can transfer.
Right.
And a lot of times quarterbacks go with OC. So to me, that's going to be part of the equation is like, who can you get to come?
Like almost like a package that, I think that has to be part of the conversation of Frost when he's hiring these guys of like, who can you bring?
That's part of this deal. It's like, unfortunately, it's not like, hey, let's just take our time and build this team up with our recruits. Like,
time's out.
We got to get dudes. Like, this is JUCO, and this is like, the paper's talking about like, trying to take 10 people from the transfer portal. I'm like, might have to do it.
I mean, you
got to have people that can play. I mean, the guys like Torre, I was so pleasantly surprised how well he.
But the hard part for every Torre, there's a step.
And Step wasn't terrible.
No, he wasn't. But I'm saying he didn't make an impact. And they need when they go into the transfer portal, they need to hit on
we need
80% of these guys.
Like the dude, the 5-star from Ohio State, like he didn't even. He couldn't even play special teams. Nick.
Right.
Like that tells you something that
something.
There's a reason why he wasn't playing at Ohio State. Can't play here. So like we're going to be light on DBs. All those, remember those Miami dudes that that was too
light on DB, but they need to find someone to fill Austin Allen. Hopefully that can be Fedoni. So maybe you don't need necessarily
and
Vokalek comes back. Hopefully. They need to find a difference-making dude at running back.
Yes.
They need to probably go in the port. They got to go find a quarterback.
Yep.
Regardless of whatever happens with Martinez or whatever, his shoulder surgery, I think it complicates things a little bit. But you got to find a dude at quarterback. You got to find someone to take the Torre spot.
Yep.
You probably need to find a couple of wide receivers that can maybe make a difference.
Betts and Manning are going to be what they are. Like I think Betts talent-wise,
but there's clearly something missing with him. Like there's something missing with his ability to be out there at every down.
Him and Manning, there's a consistency issue. They both have nice
skills,
sets,
right? Yeah,
but they haven't put it all together as like a possession guy. I think we need a possession guy, to go with him. That's what Torre was. That's what we were talking about with Keegan Johnson. We were kind of hoping he would be
right.
That he could be a guy like that. But I think we need running back, receiver,
quarterback, pass rusher, DBs.
Yeah,
like you need to go in the portal.
Yeah.
And then you need to probably go find the best kicker you need to go find then the best field goal kicker
Nick,
in the country.
You got to go down to
if you got to go to New Zealand and find, a guy that's just kicking a rugby, but you got to find that's it. You got to go find those guys.
I don't know. I mean, we need to literally have I don't know, what's something that is what's a foot and ankle? What's like a foot, like a shoe store sponsor? Somebody needs to sponsor a kicker with NIL.
Yes.
And pay him
$500,000
to come here and kick. Get the best guy in the country.
Was it Kathy Ireland that was the kicker?
Oh,
I think we could all live with Kathy Ireland.
Should we take down the Aiden Hutchinson
and put Kathy Ireland back up there?
I think it's about time.
Even if Kathy missed a bunch of field goals, we'd be like,
yeah, she's pretty talented.
But everything we're saying, all this stuff is it's a lot, man. I mean, you got to hit on a lot of the special teams coach, the OC, because you could also point out O-line is something that has kind of got the O-line was a problem.
Yeah. I'll say the positive with O-line is that you got
O'Doyle's coming back.
If O'Doyle comes back and Prohaska gets healthy, he looks like a real tackle.
Yeah.
And then if you can move Cochran over to right tackle, I think Cochran with another year of strength becomes a better guy.
Right.
I don't know. Benhart, I just don't know about Benhart. I haven't seen for as big as he is, he's like a big teddy bear that's catching people a lot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't strike. And that's my issue with him so far is I just go, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think if you got O'Doyle, Prohaska, Cochran on steroids with
roided up Cochran.
Or roided up Cochran.
Yeah. You got something.
We're in a better spot.
I mean, it's just And then, I mean, you mentioned real quick as we're kind of talking about that, you got to get Vokalek to stay. It's unfortunate. Austin Allen already announced he's leaving. Daniels.
I heard Daniels is gone. That's the rumor is that, but I'm like, here's my issue with that is like, is he going to get drafted?
I don't know. I mean,
to me, if you're not getting drafted and you can have a chance to improve your stock to get drafted, or you know what, like if you're going to go get cut in minicamp, come back and make $100,000.
Yes.
Come make 200 grand. If you're the guy, if you're the captain of the team, I think you can make 200 grand.
Yeah. To me, that's what I had a conversation with someone. I won't name who it is. I don't want to, divulge who I was talking to, but that over the course of the last month, Trev needed to be having kind of wink meetings with the biggest boosters and business people in this area and say, at the time he was saying, you need to do all you can to you need to pool together $1 million. And Austin Allen, Daniels, Vokalek, at the time he was saying Martinez, you need to make sure all those guys have deals. Because rather than go grind to maybe get drafted and maybe make a team, play another year, Damian Daniels, make $200,000, which is like, I mean,
that's like almost, it's like half of of a rookie contract minimum, right?
And you get a chance then to play your way into maybe getting
it's
a better
to me
draft situation.
If you can make that $200,000 as a one more year of college, it was still with the opportunity pro. Like you're giving yourself that like I think it's harder to make that money in the pros because you're going to get a signing bonus of like. If you're not drafted, it's like 15 or 20 grand or something.
Right. It's not difference making stuff.
It's not changing your life where this is at least some money to put in your pocket.
All while you're still investing for the future. Right. I mean, you go the other way, you're all in on that one.
Yeah.
path.
And like a Vokalek, I know that this tight end class for the NFL, it's a really good class. Like Allen's going to leave. He had a good year, but even him, like, if he'll be a late draft pick if he gets.
When you watch like Notre Dame's tight end, and listen, I think Austin Allen's a baller, but like Notre Dame's tight end,
the dude from Iowa, the dude from Wisconsin, those are good players too. Like the dude from Ohio State. I mean, you got, there's usually one or two tight ends each round.
But it's important though, in the midst of all this, like I think the point of what we're talking to is there are certain guys on this team. Frost needs to not only they need to be scouring the portal, but they need to retain certain guys.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like Daniels makes a huge difference.
I think Vokalek makes a difference.
Vokalek, huge difference because then you can use Fedoni as he matures as
the route
as the second guy receiver, but Vokalek's the blocking guy. Then it's like I'm trying to think who else we got. I think Payne's coming back. O'Doyle's bigger than you think. I think O'Doyle's
right. I agree.
Big deal. You want Manning back. You want who we missing on defense?
Caleb Tanner.
I mean, I think in the end you want the depth. You want Tanner back with the depth.
Ultimate Warrior ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Your Reimer Henrich aren't going anywhere.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty much
Stilly
it.
has to go. Stilly is a big.
I think Daniels is number one. To be honest with you, I think Daniels is the number one guy you got to retain.
I think you find a way to get. Yeah, I think the local businesses and people listening, if you say, "Well, does this seem like?" Remember, Alabama's giving their guys $1 million.
This is how it is now.
Yeah, it becomes an arms race, and if we want to hang in there, let's use what we got here. We got some great boosters.
Right.
We have thriving business communities across the state, especially like Lincoln, and really Omaha's got that crazy old Berkshire Hathaway money.
Right.
It's like
find a way to get you because Daniels makes a big difference.
If you got $1 billion worth of Berkshire Hathaway,
send a little
chip
something.
in $100K to get snacks.
Get snacks.
Get snacks a snack.
Earmark for snacks. Memo for the snacks. But yeah, it's this has to be the biggest off season in the past 60 years.
I'm this higher. Whoever is the OC, I'm telling you, man, like I am so excited to see
who's this because I'm curious. This isn't everything about this situation is unique from the standpoint of it's kind of a 1 year thing potentially. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not necessarily just a straightforward position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely you're taking a little bit of a risk, but I think also if you're a guy like a Tom Herman, or if you're from a school that's not a Nebraska, right? It's like you're a good coordinator at a school that's like, mid-level Pac-12 or a mid-level, ACC, you might say, I want to get a better job that pays more with an opportunity to make a splash and do something, even if it didn't work, you have an opportunity in a sense.
And you're going to get compensated well for your time. I mean, they're going to pay whoever this coordinator might be making a mill that comes in here.
And I think they should, because they are going to take on the risk of this isn't like a guaranteed 3 or 4 years. So
come in here, see if you can get it going.
You might have maybe even it's like $1 million a year for a 2-year guarantee or something. You might have to guarantee these people, look, if this doesn't work after a year, you're getting 2 years of pay.
Right.
If you're getting $2 million to come for a 1-year tryout, then it's more worth it.
Totally. Yeah. You offset the risk of getting fired by the money, and so
it'd be hard for a 1-year deal.
Yeah. So I don't know what all that's going to look like. I did think I wanted to bounce this off you as we wrap this thing up. We went about 90 minutes here, a little over 90 minutes, but
people think, what can you guys talk about? We
find a way, right? Every time I'm like, we've had this conversation a million times, but it's I don't know, we get going.
Nick, it's fun every time we do it.
I want to punch myself in the face. Like I put in the poll question, but then when we get going, it's like, this has been enjoyable.
Once we get
once
we get on the thought processes, then we're having fun figuring it out.
Well, how about this thought? Because I don't know if you listened to the post-game press conference. Dirk asked Scott a question, and then his column was kind of about it. And it was really an interesting thought that I hadn't had. Dirk basically, this was the premise or the spirit of what he was saying, is the whole theme of, man, we are so close. The whole close thing. Because that's been there all year from not only us, the fans, but Frost himself. Man, we're close. Man, we're close. This thing's close to popping. We just got to get over the hump. We're close. And this isn't just this year. You go back and pull quotes from year 1 and year 2. He's kind of saying the same thing. I think it's probably a great thing to tell your team to keep them engaged.
Yeah.
Because if it's hard to get beat and get punched,
and we're a long ways away.
And you say, listen, boys, you're not even close. That gets harder to the next day strap it on and go fight again. But if you feel like you're almost there, it probably keeps you more engaged. But I do wonder if in the long run, kind of along the lines of your cold turkey smoking, drinking thing, I wonder if in the long run, if you keep saying that, God, we're close, you're close, does that actually become a bad thing in the sense of it makes you want to just stay the course? If I'm doing something and my instructor or my coach or my whoever is telling me I'm close, well, then I wouldn't think that wouldn't suggest that I need to make big, massive changes. If someone says you're close, you that's kind of stay the course, keep doing it, man. And eventually you're going to beat that door down. And while we sit here and say, yeah, this team was close to going 9-3, at the end of the day, they went 3-9. And as much as we can explain away this, that, they're 3-9. They're 4 straight losing seasons. Maybe they're not as close as we all want to make it seem to be.
Well, the conundrum with this team is this, and these are truths. They physically have gotten a lot better over 4 years. Physically bigger, physically stronger.
Not even debatable.
It's a more physical, tougher football team than it was in the Riley era or when they just got
year
here.
1.
Yep. It's been steady progress. They have improved in a lot of areas of this team. Defense, extremely improved. Just everything. They have gone the other direction with 2-minute, 4-minute, and closing
details,
games,
closing it,
and special teams and specialists have not. So, in a lot of ways, the getting close is they were in the sense of physically they're there, they're fighting, they practice hard, they work hard. I think most of the issues is philosophy and details. And that is what needs to change. But not we're not they're working hard.
They're doing something.
They're doing something right.
Yeah,
you're doing a lot of things right to almost beat Michigan and Oklahoma. The problem is you're doing enough wrong than to lose to Illinois, Minnesota, Purdue, and all those other teams by a smidge every time. So you have to find out what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong. And what you're doing wrong, you need to cold turkey change. Now that's hard, Nick.
It's really hard to do. I get it, dude.
Because we all have our things where we're like, we can't see our own weaknesses usually.
Right. And that's where maybe 4 new coaches could be life-saving, not only of what they know, but getting a new set of ideas and eyes and blood and energy into the situation.
Yeah.
Could be good in the sense of like, think that core group they've been together from Central Florida till now, which there are positives to that, i.e. the defense. Like, I think their continuity and all that stuff has yielded good results on that side of the ball. But overall, sometimes if everyone is cut from the same cloth,
that's it. That's the bingo right there.
Everything's cut from the same cloth. You're not gonna. No one has any new ideas because everybody's comes from the same tree.
I think I would love to see this is a perfect world, right? A coordinator that has a lot of experience.
Right.
I mean, that's why like a Tom Herman, you'd be like, oh my gosh, it sounds nice because he's been a head coach and he can see the big picture.
Right.
And maybe where Frost has some blind spots with special teams, game management, CEO stuff. Maybe he actually like has some insight that Frost where it's a lot harder for maybe a Ryan Held to be like, Scott, here's what I think you need to do different. Like he probably sees it the way Scott does.
Right.
And he's also never been in a position where he had to know
and that's not
more than Scott.
Right.
Where Tom Herman's had to have done it as a head coach, where Scott Frost is a young head coach who's learning the hard way. He learned the easy way at UCF,
right?
Which was like, it all goes right. This was a situation where he hadn't learned the hard lessons. And he had to, every time it was the hard way.
So
now it's like, I think somebody to assist that, like, because Frost, Nick, he didn't have any other assistants and he torched Wisconsin and Iowa on his own.
Think about that.
Like, he is a excellent creative football mind. He is excellent at working with his guys and motivating, saying that, like, he's excellent at some things. Organization, CEO, big picture stuff.
Clearly has been an issue.
That's not his strength.
Right.
And so like what he does well, like I think we need to like that and emphasize it, but then like we need to show him and help him find where maybe he's lacking.
And that's why I hope one of these, now ideally it's the offensive coordinator, but I do hope one of these hires has been a head coach before. I think he needs someone on this staff that is
or a real veteran or somebody that's been around
forever,
Yeah. And so like in the end, it's like just you want a great coach over the tenure, but if you can have both, take the tenure.
But I just thought that was so interesting because I had never thought about it in that way in what Dirk was kind of hinting at and then what he wrote about of like, that is interesting. Like, I wonder if there is a psychological letdown amongst everybody. If, hey, we're close. If someone continues to tell you you're close, you think, oh, I'm close. Well, then why don't I just keep going?
I'll say this. We kept feeling like it was close. And I think it was Michigan. The fourth quarter of Michigan, where me and you were losing our minds.
Yes.
It was a peak moment. And Martinez fumbles. I really believed that was the turning point.
Totally agree.
And so you can say
there's a whole bunch of turning points, but that one.
I felt like we were close, and I felt like fourth quarter of Michigan, it was our moment.
Yes.
It was our time. Now they're the number 2 team in the country.
Right.
They just beat Ohio State. But to me, I thought that was our time.
I agree.
And it didn't happen. And I think maybe it stopped feeling quite as close.
Because the next week was Minnesota. And it was a bye week. Then the next week was Purdue.
Yeah. And it just hasn't been close.
I mean, it hasn't
felt as close
you're right.
since.
Because think about you go Michigan State, then you go Northwestern, you blow their 56-7, dismantle them.
Yes.
Then Michigan. And you're right. Like,
it was there. It was there.
I remember drinking beer with you at the tailgate for that Michigan game. And I'm telling you, I feel like I can look in this game. I was confident Nebraska was going to win. I felt like they were going to win. And when Martinez fumbled that thing, and then the subsequent, how the rest of the season played out between Minnesota, Purdue, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa, it feels harder Nebraska feels further away now than they did at the beginning of the fourth quarter of that Michigan game.
I mean, they took on Aiden Hutchinson.
Right. Well, that's why I don't know. I thought Michigan was the best team Nebraska played.
They were, and I think we played our most physical. It was like a bloodbath game. I remember seeing Stilly walking off the field. He looked like he had been through 12 rounds. And I was like very proud of that. I was very proud that that's how. So when that's the progress I've seen. Is that we went toe to toe and we fought the bloodbath.
They could win the whole thing. And Michigan could win the whole thing.
And we lost off of something. I just go, man, I don't know how to explain that other than just gave the ball,
right.
But we fought the fight. That's the part that if we didn't fight the fight, I'm way more just like, we weren't even close.
Here's the other thing. We were
fighting the fight.
Totally agree. But here's the other thing with the close thing. And then we'll wrap this up. We've gone forever. Might have to make this a two-parter and bring on House in a little bit, and we'll talk NBA overs and unders. But no, the one thing, and I've been guilty of this, and Frost even said it in the post-game press conference, this is another thing as we become like way too over-analytical. I think everyone's kind of chalked a lot of this up to they just got to get over the hump with a win. Once they win one, then it'll go. And I think that's true to a certain extent. Like, I think the reality is the only way to become a winning program is to win. But I think I think that school of thought has allowed them to let themselves off the hook with maybe some of the details that have led up to that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just going, we just got to win a game. The problem is we haven't won a game. Well,
that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
All we got to do is win a game, but we're not interested in return yards.
Right.
Or having,
I just get the
we're
sense.
Not interested in returning kicks or punts, or, it's like, you need to be interested in that.
That's what I'm saying. And I wonder if deep down inside, and Frost would probably never admit this, but I wonder if deep down inside, the way he's assessed all this is like, we just got to win one of these games, man. So it's easier to do, let's be honest, it's easier to do that than to take a good hard look at all this other shit.
Yeah.
And I think they've kind of said, well, all we got to do is win one game and then it'll take off.
It helps.
It does.
Winning helps.
And that's why I'm not saying that's not, I think it's hard to sit here and say that's not true, because it is, but there's a non-negotiable price you have to pay in your preparation to get to that point. You know what I mean?
I think the people it helps is like, it helps Martinez. If Martinez would have got one of those big wins, I think all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, he's like, I do this. And every game that he didn't win, it's in the back of your head.
Right.
So I think there is some truth to that. But like I said, in the end, special teams tells me the tale of
how much
how much
you really want
your process gonna win you games as well.
Agree. I totally agree.
Versus being like, hey, we got a lot of good things going with, like we don't need to be a momentum team. We're like a team that like we have a process that wins us.
It just kind of feels like Nebraska's been waiting to win one of these games and think that's going to solve everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and while I don't know if I totally disagree with it, I also think there's got to be more to it than that.
Well,
and there clearly is more to it than
like
that.
Purdue beat Ohio State a couple years ago. And I don't know that it launched them, right?
Right.
Like, if you think that's going to launch you, it's not going to launch you. Purdue's defense sucked.
Right.
They hired Bob Diaco, and their defense was not good. I think that's where like one win didn't change their world.
Right.
Maybe they got a couple better recruits, receivers. They got David Bell because they had Rondale Moore, right? But like, I don't think that's changed their program.
That's such a good point. Like,
I don't know.
One big win doesn't necessarily put you on a path, and it kind of feels like they've been waiting. Nebraska's been waiting to win the one big bet.
Yeah, and it's hard because we need it. We need it. We absolutely do need it just to get like the jinx that came from even before these guys. Like, we're talking the Pelini jinx.
Right.
Like, we're talking like back to that point where, man, I even remember back like in my days, like when we were, like Texas Tech, Texas, USC, like all the big games we lost, like Texas, the Terrence Nunn fumble.
Yeah.
Like, those are the things that like those have been around for
a while now,
years now, that are hard to shake. Like, man, we just we win the ones we were supposed to, but now we're losing the ones we're supposed to. Now that's the part that I have a problem with.
Right.
So like, that's the thing is like, if we're thinking that winning one big one's going to solve us losing to Minnesota, Purdue, and Illinois, they're not. That's not what costs us those.
Totally agree. So that's what I think. I think in talking this out, that's why it's so good to do this. Like in talking this out, I really think the worse we're close thing has kind of let them off the hook of just wanting to really assess certain things. Yeah. And then it seems like they've been waiting for just that one, we got to win that one big game.
Yeah. I mean, it would
because
help.
Even they beat Penn State last year.
Yeah.
And they turn around and lose to Illinois. And I know last year was so weird because of COVID, but that's kind of this, I think, some of the psychological issues that I think they gotta take a good hard look at all that. And I'm hoping these 4 new coaches come in and really shake things up.
You know what? The one thing I'm at least thankful for, and this might sound odd, I'm actually happy that if we're going to be the worst team in Nebraska's history, that we're the worst team like this.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, we've had teams win 4 and 5 games, that were just getting killed. And this is different. It's different when our issues are not physical.
You're so right. I mean,
because people take pride that we are almost the more physical team a lot of times. As long as you're the more physical teams, your fan, like Nick, we lost 8 games and that stadium was to the roof.
Right.
It was like a true, it's sold out. And my brother was talking to me. He said that he was watching Texas. Nobody was in the stands.
That Kansas game that they lost, there's an end zone cam of the Kansas goes for, they go for 2 on the game winner. The back, the end zone, all the stands, it's empty. Wisconsin the other day, yeah. Nebraska was there, 11 a.m. kick or 2:30 kick, whatever. A lot of that stadium had empty pockets.
So that's the part where my hope is still there because one, our fans are still in it.
And the team never quit. Like the one thing I don't want to sit here and get to where we're handing out pats on the back for not quitting. But let's be honest, this team had every chance in the world to fucking quit.
To
just be like, no.
You can call what happened against Iowa. Yeah, we fell apart. No, we choked. We did.
But they didn't.
But that's not quitting. And when you get beat by 50 and you're just they're just running through you, that's so much different than you were winning the game and choked. I think our issue is in between the ears, not physical and effort, heart. And so that's where the fact that our stadium was filled and the fact that it's we're losing by this makes it to me tolerable in a weird way because we're not just wimps that just have no chance.
Well, that's what's so this and a lot of people that are anti-Frost people. I've heard some people throw this out you'd rather lose with Frost than win with someone else, and that's not. I mean,
that's not true.
That's not true. But for me, removing the coaches, I'll take watching this team every Saturday 100 times out of 100 over 2017, the 2017 season where they go 4-8. This team had some nuts. They had some guts. They had heart. They were tough. And one team went 3-9, one went 4-8. The 4-8 team was just a bunch of soft.
I'd love to see the point. I'd love to see the point differential of that team versus that. To me is the difference. This was a historically we were some people call it the greatest 3-9, which is it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
All this stuff should.
But at least it's that versus we were the wimpiest 3-9 team ever. That would be you want to talk about that's where that stadium would be. We're getting beat by 59 times.
Right.
Nick,
if you're 3-9 and you're getting run off the field all 9 losses,
nobody's showing.
There's half the people are there, maybe even less than
Nick,
that.
Our fans were they're still in it, and that's the part that tells you all you need to know about where they see where we're at.
What it is, there's a direct correlation. When the players are still fighting and the players are still in it, it's easy for a fan to still be in it.
Our fans aren't stupid. They know the difference between physical and effort and heart and not.
Right.
And so they feel it almost the way the players do. Probably like everybody's kind of in it together. They're like, we want it so bad, and we're, and like,
right. And this isn't to say we're not sitting here like saying we're happy with how this season went. Of course not. But I think you have to take a situation for what it is and then look at it and go, well, and kind of just look at it from all different angles. Of course, this season was a colossal failure. I thought this team could have won. I think we both picked them to probably go. I think you always pick them like undefeated, but like I thought they were going to win like eight games potentially. I thought this team
could have won 10.
This team could have won 10 games. So this season was a massive failure.
They could have won 10, but they absolutely couldn't have won 10.
Right, I know.
But that's the conundrum.
Saying this is okay.
No, but I guess I feel better that we didn't get blown out all year. That we were a physical team that has some things that are controllable,
right,
that you can fix. I don't think you can fix like we're just soft and we aren't physical.
Nothing more. It's there's like, it's like it's the one quote from Trev, like you got to get the fight. Once if you don't establish that, nothing else will matter. Like,
and so it's weird. We can like, this is why it's a confusing moment. It's like, because it's not as simple as like, well, we're just the worst team that gets shredded like, Swiss cheese every week. It's like we do enough right that we are
right there,
that we're right there against the not just every week, against the hardest schedule we play with top 10, and we were like, we got him, and then we piss away.
Right. Again, it goes to
it's the
big cat tweet that's kind of fun. I mean, it's funny, but it's like if you're worried about a blowout, put Nebraska in the playoff, they'd find a way to lose to Georgia by 2.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It feels like they truly, if
you give
they're
us,
fully healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas, like literally, like you give us and points, we got them. Us and a couple points, we always are going to cover.
I mean, seriously, like that's. And so it's just weird.
Going into Iowa at 3-8, and they're a top 10 team.
That's
they
9-2.
Favor us by 4.
Right.
I want people to remember that. We're getting favored as a 3-8 team. That's what I mean by like, that tells me that we're in a better spot than the normal 3-8 teams where you're just usually atrocious.
Right.
So like, I at least am happy that we are within reach of being a winning team next year.
Right.
If we can correct these issues in our program.
But man, you talk about, this is going to be hard because I mean, the greatest variable in the world is a human being. And Scott Frost has to think of all the new human beings he has to bring into the program, from 4 new coaches to all these transfer portal guys. And he's got to find a way to hit on all 4 coaches have to hit.
Yeah.
And pretty much 80% of the guys you bring in the portal have to hit. It's hard to do, but there is, I mean,
here's what's also hard. So, and this might be an off example, but like, what are you weighing these days?
185.
How long did that take you before you were like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you've been busting your ass. You've lost how many pounds?
I've lost almost 30 now.
But that took like
from July 12th to what would have been about 10 days ago. So I mean, that's for a good 4.5 months.
4.5 months where you basically had to change your life.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do, is it? Like, think about it probably took you years to even be able to like go, I'm going to do this. Right.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of the hardest things a person can do. What you've kind of just done, you just lost 30 pounds.
Right.
Right. That's a full mental shift of like, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to stop doing. Like a guy like Frost, like, is he going to call the plays? It's going to be really, really, really hard for him to give up calling plays.
Right. Because I think that's in some ways, I almost think that's his favorite thing about coaching.
And he just prove
and he's good at it.
Like he can still do it,
but some other things are he needs to focus on some other things.
Yeah.
But you're right. No, I mean it'll be interesting for as much as we're talking about these other people. There still is one guy at the center of all this that has to not only bring in the right people, but he probably needs to be willing to look in the mirror and assess and address this is a problem.
And like, so to go back to the Nick Bahe, super shredder workout program.
Yeah.
But what was it mostly that you had to do?
Eating.
And that's freaking tough, right?
It's very
that's
hard.
That's probably a better analogy than just, hey, I work out harder.
Yeah.
It's more like I don't get to eat the stuff I want to eat. I have to then now be organized, and I got to do this. And this is when I eat. It's more organized. It's more consistent. It's a better this, a better that. I don't get this. And it's hard.
It's really hard.
That sucks. Everybody that's out there that's trying to diet, it sucks.
But here's the thing. There's nothing more motivating or more addictive. I'm convinced of this after this whole thing I've gone through for 4 months. There's nothing more motivating and nothing more addicting than results.
Yeah.
For me, the diet was hard, and it's still, even to this day, even last night, like I'm driving home from the Creighton game and I'm like, I want to go eat some.
I take that runs right.
I want to go eat. You know what I mean? And
large fry.
I got to crush some pizza.
Are they still a sponsor?
Oh yeah.
But you know what? They are great.
They're fantastic.
Have a great burger,
Okay. They're fantastic. But I literally, what I wanted was pizza. What I wanted was pizza. I was like, I want some pizza. I want to go eat I want to go literally eat a Kevin McAllister, a large cheese pizza just for me. Like
easy on the Pepsi.
It's hard. It's always hard. But for me, when this got easier was when I stepped on the scale and I was like, oh my God, in a week, I lost 2 pounds. Oh my God. Now it's been a month. I've lost 6 pounds. Oh my God. So what I'm hoping is for Frost to, because that's what's hard about all this stuff is you can invest and sacrifice and change and there's no necessarily guarantee that it's going to yield results. So hopefully he does that, and nothing will be more addictive and intoxicating and rewarding for Frost if they go to Dublin next year. And in that first game, this new OC is boom, 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 and this new special teams, they are pending motherfuckers inside the 5, and they're all this stuff. And he's like, okay, now you really lean in hard to all the changes you've made.
But so this is the thing though, is there still has to be the moment, right? So the Nick Bahe make the decision, right? You made the decision. I think that's the hardest part. When you decide I'm going to do it.
Right.
And you set the course and results help as you go through it.
Right.
But you got to make it. Yeah. That first time that you say, I'm going to do it. And no matter what, I'm going to stick to it. Those first couple weeks and months, I think that's the hardest part. I think for him to give up play calling, I think for him to change his schedule, his philosophy, where he spends his time is going to have to change. Nick, that is way easier said than done for somebody that's probably done it this way his whole life.
Totally.
So now I guess that's what's going to be the interesting thing is there's one thing to say we're going to make changes. There's another thing to I am going to do those changes every day consistently.
Right. Because we talk about all the changes that are going to happen to the roster and to the coaching staff. There still is one guy that's the head man that needs to change.
Yeah.
He's got to, like you said, the first part of this is just admitting this isn't working.
Can't keep doing it.
It's not working.
Nope.
And not saying it's all not working. There are elements of what you are doing that are working.
Yes.
But this isn't working. And so you're right. Lost in all of the new people that are going to come in to make changes. It'll be a different spring ball for him.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be very different for him.
Yeah. It's really we're changing people, but if it's the exact same way of doing things and the exact same amount of time spent and the same emphasis with just different guys underneath him,
it's not going to.
I wouldn't expect much to change. I really wouldn't. Maybe we're recruiting better. Maybe we're coaching. Maybe. I don't know. What I can tell you is that's not what I hope happens. I hope there is more full sail philosophy changes with special teams, time, organization, emphasis.
Right.
A coach has got to coach his own coaches a certain way. And I like them when they coach them hard. And then everybody in the building is on the same wavelength on everything.
Totally agree.
And for us, special teams, if it's not freaking do or die by that this year, I think we're missing the point.
That's what I think. I mean, again, like we said, if you would look at this team in this program, I mean, with a bunch of consultants analyzing this, it's special teams. It all starts there. That's a good way to wrap it up. 2 hours. This was the longest one we ever did.
The longest of the year. So just like this team, we leave you with surprises.
Gosh,
we're unexpected. But that's the thing is people say, I can't tell you how many people in the last 2 weeks go, dude, what are you guys even going to talk about? They're always people say, I don't even know what you're going to talk about. And I go, kind of with you. And then we start, and every time we go, this team is still interesting. That's the part maybe I was trying to get at earlier where I was just talking about, we're tough. Really, when you're this, like, we're interesting. We're not dull losers. We're close, and we're freaking like, it's something that's right there. It's
what is that whole I'm sure you've heard from every coach. Everybody gives it like, fellas, don't you it's when I stop yelling at you is when you got to be worried.
Yes.
To me, for a team, like, I never stopped caring.
No.
And I never stopped being like, when I would settle in and turn on the game, or when I settled in with you for that Michigan game and sat next to you, like, I always was like, okay, I'm very interested in what happens for these 4 quarters.
No, we're not boring. Let me just tell you something. This team, they're not boring. Right. So you can say what you want. We're bringing the drama. It's dramatic. It's a drama every week to the wire.
Right.
Which is like, I think in the end, like, it's entertaining.
Oh, man. That's
what it tells you. You look at 89,000 people there last week. It's entertaining, even though it's tragic. What's happened? Yeah. It's tragic, but it's entertaining.
But there's also something admirable. And again, I don't want to get into like the moral victory, pat on the back, participation trophy, but there's something admirable about watching a group of dudes, because we've been there and it's hard. It's something admirable about watching a group of guys collectively get their fucking nuts kicked every Saturday. And then to have the courage and the pride to stand back up and step in that ring again.
Hey, these guys are gonna they're building some resilience for life. You gotta like that, but like I say, it's
because the easy thing, the human nature thing to do is to quit and to be like,
I guess I had, you think once every year, when especially after things go bad, like you're gonna get one or two like, oh, they just 30-point loss, 40-point loss. Like this team never. It's bizarre, man. It's bizarre, but it's entertaining. I'll give them that. I am never not entertained.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think as long as they stay entertaining, you can lose a little bit more if you're entertaining.
Well, and as long as they continue to fight, like I mean, it's just like Reimer, Henrich, Daniels, Garrett Nelson. Like the one thing you got, like those guys, Cam Jurgens, those guys are you can call them a lot, you can say whatever you want, but the one thing they are is they fight.
Yeah, I think that's why we got enough lunch pail, like tough dudes that our fans. I can tell like they still like they'll still back this program.
Yeah, because like if I just throw out those guys individually, you don't conjure up negative. Like, okay, hey, what do you think of Luke Reimer? Everybody's like, Luke's tough motherfucker. Yeah. What do you think of Garrett Nelson? It's like, dude plays hard.
Shaking ropes.
What do you think of Cam Jurgens? It's like, dude's fucking
Doyle rules.
Doyle rules. Like, you think of those things with those guys, Okay, well, that'll do it. Here's the thing. We're going to have to keep your phone close by because these hires are going to happen. We're going to have a lot to talk about. My guess is, do you think Frost will announce them all together? Or do you think it'll be like a 1-by-1? Be like, I present to you
goes first.
O-line coach Peter Pancake. I Vokalek, I introduce all staff. This Peter Pancake. He come in, he teach us how to pancake people. This our new offensive coordinator, Owen. Owen, his offense always going. Welcome to family, Owen.
Owen? I don't know. His name Owen. Oh,
but I wonder if it'll be all four guys.
No, I mean, it's going to be OC first.
Oh.
Right? You got to do OC, then he'll try to get his guys from there. But
I mean,
I think we're going to have a serious pod as soon as maybe a wine.
I was going to say, we're way overdue. I got some wine over there that's just like screaming to get consumed. So
we got a whole vocal act on the back.
Yeah. You want wine? I give you wine pod.
Wine pod.
I give you wine pod.